My wife replaced me with her ex 5 days before our $45,000 trip. She forgot whose name was on the credit card and the lease. The alert didn't come from a text. It came from the American Express fraud department. I was standing in the middle of the shop floor, grease up to my elbows, rebuilding the transmission on a 1969 Camaro. The phone vibrated in my chest pocket. I wiped my hands on a rag, annoyed. I had 3 more cars to finish before I could clock out, and we were supposed to fly to Zurich in 5 days. I needed this overtime to pay for the extra excursions Austin wanted. I answered, "Yeah? Mr. Alexander Rourke?" The voice was robotic, professional. "We're calling to verify a suspicious transaction, a ticket change fee and a name transfer on United Airlines, $550. Was this you?" I frowned, kicking a tire iron across the concrete floor. "No, I didn't authorize any changes. Block it. There's also a second charge attempting to go through, sir. An upgrade to first class for a passenger named Ryan Miller. Should we block that as well?" The shop noise, the air compressors, the impact wrenches, the classic rock on the radio. Suddenly went dead silent in my head. Ryan Miller, my wife's ex-husband, the guy who hadn't paid a dime in child support for 12 years, the guy who, Austin, my 19-year-old stepson, hadn't seen since he was 7. "Sir?" the agent asked. "Hold on," I said. My voice sounded calm. Too calm. "Don't block it yet. Tell me the itinerary. It appears your ticket, seat 4A, has been transferred to Mr. Miller. The return flight has also been modified to extend the stay by 4 days. I stood there, staring at a calendar on the wall with the date circled in red marker. Family trip. I'd circled it myself 6 months ago. I paid for the flights. I paid for the chalet in Zermatt. I paid for the rental gear. $45,000. I sold my boat for this. I pulled double shifts at the shop for a year for this. "Let the charges go through," I said. "Sir, you just said, let them go through. Do not flag my card. Thank you." I hung up. I didn't go home immediately. I washed my hands. I scrubbed them until the skin was raw and red. I walked into my boss's office. Dave looked up, surprised. "I need the next 2 weeks off, Dave, but not for Switzerland." "Everything okay, Alex?" "Plans changed," I said. "I need to work. Put me on the schedule. Every day. Open to close." I drove home in my truck, the silence of the cabin deafening. I pulled into the driveway of the house I rented for us 5 years ago. A nice place. Too expensive, really, but Olivia wanted Austin to be in a good district. I walked in. Suitcases were already in the hallway. Olivia was in the kitchen, folding shirts. Austin was on the couch, texting, a grin on his face I hadn't seen in months. "Hey," Olivia said, not looking up. "You're home early." Am I?" I leaned against the door frame. "Just got a call from Amex." She stopped folding. Her back went stiff. She turned around slowly, a practiced look of guilt and defensiveness already plastering her face. It was a look I'd seen 100 times when she overspent on clothes, but this time, the stakes were different. "Alex, look, I was going to tell you tonight over dinner," she started, rushing the words. "Ryan called last week. He's going through a tough time. He wants to reconnect with Austin. This trip, it's a perfect opportunity. So you gave him my ticket," I said, flat. "He can't afford a ticket, Alex. He's trying to get back on his feet as a DJ, and Austin needs his real dad right now." I looked at Austin, the kid I taught to drive, the kid I bailed out of jail when he got caught shoplifting at 16, the kid whose college tuition I was currently saving for. He didn't even look up from his phone. "It's not a big deal, Alex. You hate skiing anyway. You always complain about your knees. Ryan used to be an instructor. It just makes sense." "It makes sense," I repeated. "I paid $45,000 for a trip, and it makes sense for me to stay home while the guy who abandoned you takes my seat." "Stop being dramatic," Olivia snapped, slamming a suitcase shut. "You're always so transactional. Money, money, money. That's all you care about. This is about family. This is about healing. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Just take a break. Relax here. Watch the game. We'll FaceTime you." "And the upgrade?" I asked. "First class for Ryan?" She flushed. "He has long legs. He can't sit and coach for 10 hours. God, Alex, why do you have to ruin everything? This is why Austin prefers him. Ryan is fun. You're just heavy." Heavy, the word hung in the air. "Okay," I said. Olivia blinked. She expected a fight. She expected me to yell. "Okay?" "You're right," I said. I walked over to the counter, picked up my keys. "I've been working too hard. Maybe I do need to stay back." Austin finally looked up. "So you're not mad?" "Have a safe flight," I said. "Send me pictures." I walked out the back door to the garage. I didn't sleep in the bedroom that night. I slept in the guest room. They left at 5:00 a.m. the next morning. It was a Thursday. I heard the Uber pull up. I heard them laughing as they loaded the bags. I heard Olivia say, "I'm so glad he didn't make a scene. I told you he's a pushover." The door slammed. I waited until the engine faded down the street. Then I got up, made a pot of black coffee, and opened my laptop. I wasn't a pushover. I was a mechanic. I fix things. And when a part is broken, you don't argue with it. You remove it. They had a 12-hour flight to Zurich. I had 12 hours to erase 8 years of my life. I started with the lease. The house was beautiful. 4 bedrooms, a pool, a 3-car garage. The lease was in my name alone because Olivia's credit score was destroyed by Ryan a decade ago. I called the landlord, Mr. Henderson, at 8:00 a.m. sharp. "Mr. Henderson, it's Alex. I'm exercising the early termination clause." "Alex, you guys just renewed. You'll lose the deposit and have to pay 2 months penalty." "Check is in the mail," I said. "I'll be out by Sunday. The place will be empty." Next, the cars. Olivia drove a 2023 Range Rover. Austin drove a customized Ford Bronco. I'd bought him for his birthday last year. Both titles were in my name. I paid the insurance, the payments, the gas. I called a buddy of mine who runs a used car lot. "Tony, I got 2 vehicles for you. Need them gone today. Cash offer. Come pick them up." "The Rover and the Bronco? Those are your wife's rides, Alex." "Not anymore. Bring the flatbed." By noon, the driveway was empty. Tony gave me a check for $82,000. It was $10,000 under market value, but I didn't care. I wanted them gone. Then came the bank accounts. We had a joint account for household expenses, but the primary funding always came from my direct deposit. I withdrew everything, every cent. I left exactly $1.50 in the checking account. I closed the savings. I removed Olivia as an authorized user on my credit cards. This was the tricky part. I had to time it right. I logged into the Amex portal. I saw the charges from the airport, Starbucks, duty-free perfume, a magazine. They were living it up. I didn't cancel the cards yet. I wanted them to land. I wanted them to check into the 5-star resort in Zermatt. I wanted them to get comfortable. For the next 3 days, I packed. I didn't pack their stuff. I packed mine. My tools, my clothes, my books, the antique clock my grandfather gave me. I hired a moving company to take the furniture I had paid. For the leather sectional, the 85-inch TV, the oak dining table. Everything else, her clothes, Austin's gaming setup, her collection of porcelain dolls, their shoes, I left in the middle of the living room floor, piles of it. On Saturday, 3 days after they landed, I was ready. The house echoed. It was just me in a sleeping bag in the empty living room. My phone buzzed. It was a photo from Olivia, a selfie of her, Austin, and Ryan on a ski lift. Ryan was wearing a designer ski jacket. They were beaming. Caption, "Finally feels like a complete family. Miss you. XOXO." I stared at the picture. Ryan's jacket looked new. I checked my Amex app. A charge for Montclair Zermatt, $2,400. Pending. That was the trigger. I called Amex. "I need to report my card stolen," I said. "Cancel it immediately. Issue a new number and mail it to my new address." "Certainly, sir. All current cards will be declined effective immediately." "Do it." Then I called the resort in Zermatt. "Hello, this is the concierge." "Hi, this is Alex Rourke. I made a reservation for the Alpine Suite. Confirmation number HG55499. "Yes, Mr. Rourke. Your guests are enjoying their stay. Mr. Miller ordered the Wagyu steak dinner for tonight." "Yeah, about that." "I need to cancel the card on file. I'm no longer covering this reservation." The concierge paused. "Sir, the room is booked for 10 more days. If you remove the payment method, we will need an alternative card from the guests immediately, or we will have to evict them." "I understand," I said. "They are aware. They have their own funds. Please remove my card now." "Very well, it is done." I hung up. I took the SIM card out of my phone and snapped it in half. I dropped it in the trash. I walked out of the house, locked the front door, and dropped the keys in the mailbox. I got into my truck and drove. I didn't go to a hotel. I went to the shop. Dave let me sleep in the office for a few nights while I looked for a new place. I found a small apartment near the industrial park. 1 bedroom, quiet, cheap. I got a new number the next day. I only gave it to Dave and my lawyer. The silence lasted exactly 4 hours. Dave came out to the bay where I was welding a muffler. He looked pale. "Alex, your wife is calling the shop line. She's screaming. She says they're being arrested." I lifted my welding mask. "Tell her I'm busy." Dave stared at me. "Alex, she says they're stuck in a hotel lobby in Switzerland with security. Their cards aren't working. They can't pay the bill for the last 3 days. Ryan is a big shot, DJ, I said, striking an arc with the welder. Sparks flew. He can spin some records and pay for it. Dave didn't ask again. He hung up. I worked 12 hours that day. It felt good. My muscles burned. My head was clear. For the first time in 8 years, I wasn't wondering if I was enough. I wasn't calculating if I could afford Austin's tuition or Olivia's esthetician bills. I was just Alex. 3 days later, the emails started coming through. I couldn't block those as easily. From Olivia. Subject, emergency. Are you insane? Alex, pick up the phone. We are humiliated. The hotel kicked us out. Ryan's card maxed out after the flight. We are at a hostel near the train station. A hostel. Austin is crying. How could you do this? We have no way to get home. The return flights were canceled because the card was flagged for fraud. Fix this. I deleted it. From Austin. Subject, you're a jerk. Mom is freaking out. Ryan is trying to call his label for money, but it's the weekend. Why did you take the car? Tony said you sold my Bronco? That was my car. You can't steal my car, man. I'm gonna call the cops when I get back. I replied to that one. 2. Austin. The Bronco was in my name. The insurance was in my name. The gas was on my card. It was never your car. It was a privilege. Ask Ryan to buy you a Bronco. He's the fun dad, remember? They made it back 10 days later. I don't know how. Maybe Ryan's parents wired them money. Maybe Olivia begged her sister. I didn't care. I was at the shop when they landed. I knew because my old landlord, Mr. Henderson, called me. Alex, your ex-wife, is on the front lawn of the property. She's trying to break a window. She says her key doesn't work and the house is empty. Call the police, Mr. Henderson, I said. Strangers trying to break in, you know the drill. I heard later that the cops actually came. They escorted Olivia and Austin off the property. They had nowhere to go. Olivia's sister lived in a 1-bedroom condo across town. I imagined the 3 of them, Olivia, Austin, and the cool dad, Ryan, crammed onto a pull-out couch. That night, I sat on my balcony with a cold beer. My new apartment was small. The furniture was sparse, but the air tasted sweeter. My phone rang. Unknown number. I knew who it was. I let it ring twice, then answered. Hello? You ruined my life, Olivia screamed. Her voice was shredded. She sounded like she hadn't slept in a week. You vindictive, pathetic little man. You left us stranded. You sold everything. Where are my clothes? Where is my jewelry? In the living room, I said calmly. Well, they were, if Mr. Henderson hasn't thrown them out yet. You might want to hurry. Why? She sobbed. The anger broke into hysteria. Why, Alex? Because of a ticket? Because we wanted one trip as a biological family? No, I said. Because you made a choice. You chose Ryan. You said he was the real father. You said I was heavy. I just removed the weight, Olivia. I made you light. We have nothing. Ryan has nothing. Ryan has his first-class seat, I reminded her. He should have kept the receipt. Please, she dropped her voice to a whisper. Austin, he's just a kid. He's sleeping on the floor at my sister's. He misses you? He's sorry. He's 19, I said. He's a man, and he's got his real dad now. Let Ryan step up. Let Ryan buy the tuition. Let Ryan fix the car. I'm done. We're married, Alex. You can't just disappear. Watch me. I hung up and blocked the number. The divorce took 6 months. It was messy, but my lawyer was a shark. Since I had documentation of every single payment for 8 years and proof of her infidelity, turns out the reconnecting with Ryan started months before the trip. The judge wasn't sympathetic. She got nothing. No alimony. The marriage had been short enough, and I had been the sole provider while she refused to work. I saw Austin once, about a year later. I was filling up my truck at a gas station. He was working the counter. He looked tired. He wasn't driving a Bronco. He was taking the bus. He saw me. He froze. I saw him hesitate, like he wanted to say something. Maybe sorry, maybe help. I paid for my gas. Keep the change, I said. I walked out, got in my truck, and drove away. I heard Ryan left them 2 weeks after they got back from Switzerland. Turns out, the cool dad isn't so cool when he has to pay rent. Olivia is working reception at a dental office now. Me? I took that trip to Switzerland alone the next winter. I stayed in the same suite. I ate the Wagyu steak. And I sent a postcard to Olivia's sister's house. It didn't say anything. It was just a picture of the view from the balcony. The view I paid for. The view looks a lot better when you aren't paying for people who hate you to look at it. Some people say family is everything. They're wrong. Respect is everything. And if you have to buy it, it's not real. I kept the Amex notification screenshot. It's my screensaver. Passenger update, Ryan Miller, best money I never spent.